to have a shared sense of objectives, direction. What do we want from the system for the future? What do you want from the system for the future? And this is where this public forum has a crucial role to play.
Nadie está exento de responsabilidad. Todos somos responsables de aportar respuestas que despejen los anuncios de tormentas. Confío en que muchas de esas respuestas llegarán de la mano de este foro y sobre el excepcional andamiaje que nos ofrece la OMC y el comercio internacional.
The first priority right now, I think, is to increase market access with the proper safeguards for developing the most vulnerable countries. But we also need to have an operational definition of when a country has a food emergency. And this needs to be a time frame, needs to be for a short period of time, so that we can allow those countries in emergency to be able to resolve their problem.
What trade can do is that agriculture gets its right price. The grower, that is agriculture is a grower, and it helps them to reach the market.
There is no one body that we can say this is the leader in food security governance, FAO, WFP, or any other organization. It has to be a platform on which we agree upon.
If you want a sustainable growth, then WTO has to play an important role to see that the growth reaches the right people and at a right price.
We will have to make sure that we differentiate in the treatment of large agriculture and smallholders and small farmers.
The competition that's brought about by more open trade leads people to move up the scale. It leads them to employ better, more effective, more cost-efficient, more energy-efficient technology, more modern technology, less polluting technology. And as a result, the environmental impact of production, at least per unit of production, tends to go down.
The WTO allows countries to take the necessary measures of preservation. We have the win-win situations, for example, in the field of subsidies, where today most of the subsidies go to non-renewable energies, and if we would apply more of the WTO disciplines and subsidies to these measures, maybe we would help renewable energies more than by actually supporting governmental programs.
Value-added trade has been going on for long, but given the diversity of rules of origin, it's rather hard to give a fair share of countries whose manufacturing goods but not be mentioned within the good itself. So Made in the World initiative for me is a hope for developing countries whose manufacturing sectors are not as big as other countries.
Let's take an example, Boeing. For everybody it's a US plane, but in fact you will find parts made in Italy, parts made in Japan, Korea, Sweden. It's made in the world.
It is very difficult to define the home country or the country of origin in a precise way of any particular good. So it means that we need to change our focus to understanding the structure of production internationally and to understand the new dynamics that emerge out of that new geography of production.
Talk about trade, you mostly talk about exports and not imports. But if you see the full picture, then you realize that imports are very important in order for be able to have competitive exports. You need to source imports from abroad, business services and intermediate goods in order to be a successful exporter.
Rather than import competition being something which both labor and management combined to come together to typically resist, because it hurt them, both. We now have a situation where trade and tasks competes against those who hold certain tasks in countries, but not necessarily. In fact, to the contrary, it aids the management, which is seeking to lower production costs and raise shareholder value.
These rules of origin, there are rules that are applied when you put a sticker on a product made in. These rules, if we want to truly be in line with what happens in the world with the trade in value added, these rules might need to be changed in order to reflect the concrete realities, the way firms operate, and also to make sure that what trade policy does creates maximum benefits.
The challenge is there any will or is there any way to bring some of those debates back into the WTO? And the ways that are most commonly talked about are developing some best practice approaches that might come out of the transparency mechanism. APEC is already doing this with PTAs and doing it quite successfully. Another possibility is thinking about a new approach to negotiations, critical mass approach.
I think it's largely through recognizing technical standards, both product standards, process standards, which I think can be done within the existing agreements, and then perhaps reviewing also the regimes for supporting research and development.
I think the principal challenge for global trade and for the global trading system is to ensure that the growth in trade leads to a growth in development, that it leads to improvement in social justice, improvement in environmental management, and not simply the generation of wealth.
Emergence of the made in the world phenomenon, to the extent that it has emerged so importantly in today, is the need to integrate trade policies with policies in both labor markets and in financial markets. And that's a very ambitious task for the WTO.
Trading system is being facing the challenge of, first of all, agree and conclude the Doha round in a way that will actually, in my view, in a way that will promote the conditions for achieving global food security.
In the field of the environment, clearly this is the challenge of climate change here. And more specifically, we have to come to grips with the problem of production process methods here, which is still largely unresolved.